You're listening to the Things Podcast, brought to you by the Things Industries.
All right, welcome to the Things Conference podcast. We are here in Amsterdam, day 2, and I'm here with Christian from Teragence. My name is Marc Pous. I'm developer relations at Edge Impulse and co-founder of IoT Stars. And Christian, how's it going so far? How was the first day here at the Things Conference?
It was very, very exciting. I was saying I love the audience here. It's the right mix of deep technical knowledge, but also business know-how. And that's really the sweet spot where we are positioned. So yeah, very, very good conference and a lovely location as well.
Tell me more about you and your company, please.
Oh, yes. So our sales pitch is that we provide location-specific, transparent information about the mobile network coverage. What that means is that rather than a coverage map where you start from the height and you zoom in and you lose all granularity, we're the opposite. With us, you start with a specific location and you say, I want to know in this specific location, this address, this lat long coordinate, whatever your location is, what is the coverage I can expect from operator X for technology Y? And we will come back with an exact number, so a DBM value, and we will tell you how we got to that number. So our own confidence in that value. So that combines, giving an exact number, while at the same time being very transparent about how we got to that number and our own confidence. So if we're not quite sure, we will tell you, which is the opposite of a traditional coverage map, which goes, we're the boss and we're going to tell you that it's going to be fantastic everywhere.
We put a complete country in green, right? And
Exactly.
In this
We have coverage. Trust us. We're the big guys, and we say, this is what we know. This is what the data tells us, or this is what we have derived from the data, and here's how confident we are. And that kind of transparency and honesty, together with that very fine, exact view of things, that combination resonates with people very, very strongly, especially in the IoT space.
So that's really interesting. And you have this database, and how do you update that?
So the raw data in our, the raw materials in our data is basically crowdsourced data. So we work with location-enabled apps that people use in their daily lives, things like navigation, and every time those apps take a location read, they also take a read of the mobile network they connect to. Because we work with apps that people use in their daily lives, we get very, very large volumes of data. We make sure that we are privacy respecting in the way that we process and manage that. But that's the raw materials. The second layer is then data that we get from IoT devices, which we overlay on top, and then the third layer is some clever analytics and data manipulation that enables us to give this rounded picture of mobile coverage.
That's super interesting. And what are the usual use cases that your customers use?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. We see 3 key use cases in the IoT services space. Use case number 1 is the pre-sales use case. Typically, if you're an IoT service provider or an IoT MVNO, the question that you're always going to get is, if we stick this device with this SIM card in that location, will it work? And the answer is, we're an MVNO. We use the best in breed coverage from existing MNOs. Go and look at their coverage maps, combine their coverage maps. And that's really not a good answer. That's not convincing. But if you can go to the customer and say, tell me where you want to deploy, and let's check right now, right here, what the coverage is. We call it a grandma test, right? Somebody will go, my grandma lives there. Tell me what the coverage is there. And you go, this is the number. And that is this really aha moment for the customer to go, okay, these guys, if I go with these guys and we sit behind these guys, we're going to be all right. So that's a pre-sales use case, convincing your customers that you can de-risk the IoT deployment. The second use case is then in a deployment phase. You are going to deploy 5,000 smart meters. How do you identify which ones are going to cause you problems? We have a water metering company that uses our tool exactly in that context, and they use it to do an upfront risk assessment of the deployment of in different locations. If we say there is a coverage risk there, they just shift the location or they shift the access technology, And thereby, they've gone on record saying that they've saved 10 or 15% on their deployment cost, which is not insignificant. And then the last use case is the assurance use case, which is basically stuff happened, the device disappeared. Why did it disappear? Where was it last seen? Is there a coverage issue in that area? Might that explain the issue? Again, and it's all about avoiding, van runs, people going on site, because that's very expensive. If you can do a check online from the comfort of your desk at the cost of a few pennies, that's a big gain. And, you're looking between 10 and 20% savings. That's very significant.
Oh, wow. So, you're blowing my mind. Usually when I was working with MVNOs in the past, basically the added value that MVNOs always offer me was the post data, right?
Yeah.
Or sending the data. So
Exactly.
everything that you're telling me, it's sending the data.
Exactly.
So
That's a very good summary of it.
I never saw that.
And that's where you can differentiate, because, as you say, that post data, there's a lot that those MVNOs or the service providers do very, very well. You have the dashboards, the security, the roaming controls, wonderful. But most of them, and they do all these things in different flavors, but there is nothing. And we bring that ability to go, before you even start, let's take a look at what is possible, where the risks are.
Provide these risk assessment tools for companies that for them is really key to understand that they are going to get coverage for those devices.
Exactly. I'm doing that at a cost that is a fraction.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is that people don't realize these solutions exist, right? And they've always gone, well, either you go on site and you pay between $500 and $1,000 for just one site visit, or you take the risk, and then when you take the risk is usually around 10 or 20% of the cases. But those 10 or 20% of the cases are really cheesing off your end users when they go, well, it got deployed there and it was really, really bad. So we flatten that all out at a very, very optimal cost.
Very good. So can we say that the most of the customers that you have are devices that don't move, or you also have?
So it's very interesting. So yes and no. So we have the primary use case is stationary devices.
Okay.
What we are seeing now is people asking us, okay, can we map out the coverage along a trucking corridor, say between Valencia and Brussels or Amsterdam, because we have a container load with an IoT tracker on, and we want to know in each section what the device should connect to.
Yeah.
Also to optimize battery usage. Or are there any cross-operator black spots along this network that if the thing disappears, we shouldn't be worried? So those questions are now coming to us, and that's equally something that we can do. And then you can program your device, depending on its location, to connect to other things or to steer the roaming. So that's a moving device use case, but still around a stationary thing, if that kind of makes sense.
Very good. And Christian, how do you see the future in your field?
How do we see the future? Very exciting. I think on two fronts. One, getting more detail on the various connectivity protocols. So satellite is now becoming a thing. So we need to bring that in. The other thing is everything to do with analytics and location, and how you think about data in locations, whether it's about connectivity or site selection. We think that has a great future also in the IoT space. And then the third one, bringing that together, is talking to IoT players and say, okay, if you have data around connectivity or other things, how can we help you visualize that in that location context?
Fantastic. If anyone wants to know more about Teragence, what do you recommend?
Go to www.teragence.com and drop us a line, get in touch. You can also have a free trial of our services. But if you have a bit of a wild or wacky idea, just come on to the website, fill in the form, and we'll get in touch. Or come and find us at our stand here.
Okay, that's it. Nice to meet
All right.
you, Christian.
Thank you very much.
Success. And yes, see you at the next podcast.